Our founders fled their oppressive country specifically so they could escape the chains of big government that tried to control and provide everything. Read Benjamin Franklin. Do I have the Benjamin Franklin? No. There's one of these called The Real George Washington. There's another one called The Real Ben Franklin. It's fantastic. Read the compassion of Ben Franklin and how he talked about the poor. He wrote letters all the time back to England saying, you people are enslaving the poor. Stop it. Stop keeping them down for your own political purposes. This is really why the president has such a problem with the Constitution. He calls it a charter of negative liberties. Negative liberties. It is. They wanted a government that would guarantee what they wouldn't do to you. How many governments screw people? How many governments have we had on planet Earth over and over and over again that kill people because they disagree, or because they're not the same, or because they won't conform? That's what our founders were trying to stop. They didn't say what they were going to force on you. They said, stay away. It is a charter of negative liberties. And anybody who understands the founders would be proud of that. And for those who call an education a right, and you're teaching our youth, our immigrants, and anyone else who hasn't paid attention to history, they are teaching them that the government is a grantor of this right. Really? Well, gee, everything's upside down. This is the ideology that caused freedom-loving people to search for a new home. Do you realize how freaked out they were when they came across the Atlantic? They didn't want to come here. The Pilgrims got down on their knees and they're like, no, we can't go to North America. It'll end in cannibalism. It'll end in the Indians killing us all. They didn't want to come here. They were seeking to get away from a government that told them exactly what to do. They knew the only one that could tell them what to do was God. It's making us vulnerable. And they're teaching it to the most vulnerable. Our children are being taught to be slaves to government. Because if the government is a grantor of rights, if they're the one that dole out the rights and hold all the rights, if they're the ultimate provider, they who giveth can taketh away. Progressives want government to be run this way. They believe they know better than you. And since they can't convince you because you know you've seen them in action for years, they can't convince you that you know better because you have common sense and experience. But our kids may have common sense, but they don't have experience. And when somebody like Al Gore stands up and says, hey, you know what, don't tell your folks this, but you and I, we're on the same page. Come on, let's do something noble. People want to crush education. Your kids go, well, that's wrong. Every fascist and communist dictator has used this system. Is it a coincidence? You see the people who funded this rally yesterday, and it looks communist. This rally is not about saving your education. It's about furthering a radical agenda that makes people a slave to government. If you want to teach your kids at your own home that massive government is the key to solving all of your problems, I'm not going to, tell the state to come in and take your kids away. I mean, I think you're being abusive to them later in their life, but that's for them to sort out. They're your kids. Will you provide me? Will this new state of yours provide me with that right? My problem is all of this progressive indoctrination is being done under the guise of something else, something noble. Without your input, without many times your knowledge, but with your tax dollars. I can't teach God in school, but I can teach that the earth is what I pledge allegiance to. The planet is God. The planet is over humans. Let me ask you the question we started the show with. Parents, it's 2010. Do you know what your children are being taught? America, I want you to sit down and talk to your kids and hold your kids close to you. I know this sounds kind of like I'm coming off hard on the next generation, and I'm not. They're being sold a line of goods here. There's an effort to indoctrinate them. And here we are. We're going through what's been happening in our public schools, what Al Gore has been up to, even President Obama in his own website, targeting our children. Most of us are so busy, or we're just trusting, that we don't even notice these things. We must get involved with our children's lives and our children's school. And you know what? If it's happening, sell a car if you have to. Get your kids out of this indoctrination, or our republic will be lost. Here's our president, Al Gore, telling us to essentially take the parents, take them aside, your kids. Go talk to your parents. Educate them a bit. Watch.
After 2004, I was furious, and my parents didn't want to do anything. It was a little bit awkward. You're telling your parents who have raised you, who have given you these talks, they need to do something different.
I imagine it would be hard. It would be awkward to tell your parents to do something different. You know, when it's been the parents that have been paying the bills, working, supporting a family, dealing with adult responsibilities for decades. But if you look at the Obama campaign video on indoctrination, watch this, called The Talk, there's more.
We start out easily and just start saying, so, watch the debate, and then we'll say, well, we really think that what Obama or Biden said about energy is really important, because we need to start fixing that now before it will be too late.
I want my kids to have this conversation with me. I encourage my kids to sit down and watch the debates, and we do talk about it, but not at the behest of some covert being prompted by some campaign. Leave my children alone. I mean, she seems bright, she seems sweet. But I mean, I don't want to doubt her knowledge of the complexities of energy policies. I'm sure that, what is she, 13? She's learned through experience the intricacies of supply and demand, domestic versus foreign fuel, futures markets, clean coal, the abundance of solar and wind power, you know, the whole battery thing, nuclear energy options, and how the price of all of this will affect her parents' budgets. No, not that I don't have confidence that she knows all of that. And I have confidence in the intelligence of our youth. These kids were born at this time for a reason. They are going to be the protectors of liberty. But only if we treat them with respect, not indoctrination. Give my child the facts on both sides. Let them, don't teach them what to think, teach them how to think, how to find the answers for themselves. Stop indoctrinating my children. Take a look at these posters again. I love these posters. Students and workers unite. Students and workers unite. Gosh, that sounds familiar. Resist, mobilize, transform. What does that have to do? Resist. Who's teaching your children to resist? If anybody's going to teach my children to resist, it's going to be me. Resist. Mobilize? My 13-year-old? Transform. Transform what? They don't just sound socialist and communist. They are, as indicated by the artwork. And here, the SDS symbol. Students for a Democratic Society. It's a revival of the radical socialist 60s group, except they're not targeting just in college. They're going after your kids in high school and elementary school. Not only is this effort an overall effort to attempt to infect our kids with progressivism, we've been showing it to you. It is pitting child against parent. I mean, you know, I've been telling my producers for a while, there are many things that I believe that I shall never say, but I shall never say the things that I do not believe. And I've told them, as things get worse and worse, there will be things that are going to come out of my mouth that you'll go, okay, you're not really going to say that. This is one of them. Malachi, chapter 4, verse 6. Look it up. It's in the Bible. We are told, quote, "And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Let me break it down so all the progressive bloggers don't get it wrong. Here's exactly what I'm saying. If you are turning the hearts of the children against their fathers and mothers, that is evil, spelled E-V-I-L. In fact, in your little blog, I'd write it as capital letters, evil.